Hi guys, in this video we're going to make some cupcake toppers. We're going to make some My Little Pony ones. So I'll show you how to do the blue rainbow dash one, and then I'll show you examples of some of the other ones that I've made, but you'll be able to create them using the same video for the blue rainbow dash one. So I'm going to use modelling paste for this so that it dries nice and hard and it's easier for me to mould into finer, smaller details. Now I've got some Renshaws here. I've bought some that's already dyed to save me dyeing it. So this is just a pale blue one, which is the right colour for rainbow dash. Now I didn't have any pale green ready dyed in, so I've dyed a white one, just pale green for our base. And we're just going to roll it and create a little disc for each pony to sit on. So we're going to roll it. We're not going to roll it ultra thin. So we'll go a tiny bit thinner. So about that thickness. And I've just got a little round cutter, which I'll put links to where I've got all the equipment from in the description box below. We're just going to cut out a little circle, like so. So that now is ready for us to put our pony on. So I've needed my blue modelling paste so that it's a little bit more pliable and easy to work with. Now if it starts sticking to your hands, I tend to just use a bit of corn flour that I rub on my hands. I do have a video on making a little corn flour puff as well, so I'll put up a link to that. So we're gonna make some legs. So we're gonna start by rolling a ball, which we're then gonna roll into like sort of a bit of a long teardrop shape. I'm going to flatten the bottom, which is our basic leg shape. Now we're going to change the shape of it slightly. So near the top, we're going to just press in a little bit with our finger. So you'll see you've got a bit of an indentation. And what we're going to do is squash this top bit now so that you're creating a nice round bit. And we're going to just gently try and get in. Well, probably with the paintbrush handle might be easier. The back of the leg. So we've just pushed that in to shape like so. And we're going to repeat the same for the other back leg. So once we've done our two back legs, we're going to work on the front ones. Again, we're going to start with a ball that we're just going to roll into an elongated sort of teardrop shape. I'm going to flatten that bottom bit there. And we're just going to bring it so it's the same kind of height as our back leg. It can be slightly shorter, that's fine. Just as long as it's not taller than it, that's okay. So once we've got our four legs, we'll position them on our little disc that we've made. So our two bigger ones at the back and our smaller ones at the front. Just line them up, and what I'm going to do is put a little bit of water on the bottom of each one. You can use edible glue if you prefer. Make sure they're stuck down in place. So I'm going to start with a ball for the body, and I'm going to roll it slightly into a teardrop shape again, and I'm just going to hold it against my body so I can see if it's roughly the right size, and I'm going to pinch the back, which is where the legs are going to slot into, and the front I'm just going to lengthen it a little bit. I'm going to bring it to more of a point, because when this is dried, I want to be able to push the head onto that point. So this kind of shape. Don't worry if you don't get it the right size straight away. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of water now on the two dips that we've done, and then also on the top bits of the two front legs. And I'm going to slot this in there, pushing the legs on. So these back ones have gone into the little indentations we've made. The front ones are just going to go just underneath the body to hold the body upright. And we're going to now leave this to dry for a good few hours, just so it's hard enough for this point to have set, so that when we push a head on it, it's not going to snap off. You can leave it overnight if you prefer as well. If you're making quite a few, do them all until you reach this point, and then we can do the rest like the following day once they've all dried. So I've let my little body dry overnight now, so it's gone quite hard. And what we'll do is we work on a tail and a head next. So I've mixed a few different rainbow colours ready for creating the tail. And we don't need huge amounts, otherwise it's going to be a bit heavy for the back of the tail. So we're just going to pull off some pieces and we're going to roll them so that they're a little bit thicker in the middle and then they're thin at either end. So you can roll a couple of each colour, that's fine. They don't all have to be the exact same length or anything. So I've started with the green, which kind of sits in the middle of the pony's tail. And then I'm going to put some yellow just underneath. So I'm going to start making it a little bit shorter as I'm coming down. And I'm just going to continuously check it against my body so I can see size-wise what it's like in comparison. So we're going to go for some orange now under our yellow. Now, if it doesn't stick onto each other, then just add a little bit of water to push it in place. So you'll see the tail's now starting to take shape. So I'm bending that round a little bit now. Pushing it into shape at the same time. So this one's a bit long, I'm going to shorten this one a little bit for underneath. I'm going to start adding a bit of water to make sure it sticks. And you can curl it in different directions if you want. You can have it flowing with the ponytail or curling the other way, whichever way you think looks best. I'm going to go for a bit of blue now. Again, I'm going to take a little bit of that off. And I'm going to put it in the centre of my green bit. So you'll see it's getting quite thin where I'm rolling it now at the end that's going to attach to the pony. And we're going to want a bit of purple as well now. Just adding on some purple. Still moving it around as I'm doing it. I'm just going to add a shorter little purple one near the top as well. Just put some water on that. So just have a look size-wise what it's like in comparison to pony. And I'm just going to cut a little bit off the end. And we're going to stick this to here. Now you might find it doesn't just stick in very easily, so you might have to leave it resting, propped up against something. Or the other option is to try and insert a little bit of a cocktail stick or wire to try and help it stay into place. Now obviously if you do that, make sure that nobody's going to be eating it. So I'm just going to insert a hole into the tail and I'm going to work out whereabouts I want the tail to sit, and then I'm going to insert a hole into the body. Now because it's only been drying overnight, you'll see it's still soft in the centre, so it's quite easy for me to get the cocktail stick in. Now I'm going to make sure I've left a little bit that's going to stick out that will go into the tail. But just make sure there's a bit of water in there, and I'm going to push that onto there like so. Now I'm not just going to let it drop. What I'm going to do is I'll prop it up. So just taking a bit of fondant that I don't want to use, I'm just going to rest that underneath the tail so that the tail can't fall down any further than the piece of fondant below it. And I can leave that there until the tail is dried onto the body. And we'll put away the rest of the fondant to save for when we do the hair on the head. So I'm just going to move his body slightly to one side and we're going to work on the head. So I'm just going to re-knead my blue to make sure it's not dried out too much. Now just roll it into a ball to start with so you can see size-wise what it's like in comparison to your body. So I think that's about the right size for what I want. So they've got a reasonably round head, and I'm just going to pull out a small bit for the nose. Now they look a little bit different than My Little Ponies that I remember. So we're just pulling out a small bit, like so. Again, just constantly checking against your body that it's right size-wise. And I'm just going to push my fingers in gently at either side for where I'm going to want the eyes to go. And I'm going to give him 2 little nostrils. I'm just going to use the bottom end of my paintbrush to push 2 little holes in. And he's going to want a little mouth. I would just use the end of my knife for this. So I'm bringing it up, round to the side a little bit. Same at the other side. Once you've got it about the right shape, what I'm going to do is just push it onto my body so that I've got a little hole under my head. Now, you can work on the eyes when it's on the body if you want, or you can take it off and work on them on the table and then move your head back onto your body, so whichever way you prefer. So what I'm going to do is get some white modelling paste, or you can use normal fondant if you prefer. So I've got a small round cutter now. Its eyes are slightly oval, so we'll change the shape a little bit. So I'm rolling it out. It's not really thin, and I'll tell you why, because this is the nearest size cutter that I've got to what I need, but it's a little bit small. So by leaving the fondant just a little bit thick, it means we can squash it down slightly to make it a little bit thicker. Now you can do these completely freehand if you want, because obviously we're not keeping them as a circle shape, but size wise I just find if I've used the cutter then I end up with them both a similar size. So I've squashed them down, and I'm just going to stretch them out slightly so they become a little bit more oval in shape. And just check the size against the face. So I think I'll go a tiny bit bigger, just by squashing it a little bit more. So once you're happy with the size, we're just going to stick a little bit of water where his eye is going to go. We're going to push that in place, and his face. I say his face, is he a boy or girl? I don't know. And just repeat the same with the other one. So we're going to paint the eye now. I'll just show you on one eye and then you're going to repeat the same on the other one. We're going to need a small brush, so I've just got a 00 size one because I find it a little bit easier with that size. And we're going to need some black for the centre of his eyes and eyelashes, and then like a reddy purple for around the eye. So I'm going to start with my black, and these are just the gel food colours that I'm using. Just mix it in the lid with a little bit of water, and we're going to paint an oval shape within the eye, starting from the bottom. Now if you prefer, you can put this on with fondant rather than painting. I just prefer to paint, I find it easier. And then we'll work on the eyelashes around the top. So we're going to draw a line around the top, so I might have to pick this up a little bit. This is why you'll see I don't have a very steady hand for holding things. So a line around the top, and you can buy edible pens as well if you find that easier than trying to use a paintbrush. And we're just going to paint 3 eyelashes on, one from the very end. Leave a bit of a gap for the next one. So we've got our 3 eyelashes on now, and then we're going to paint the little purple bit on. So for around the rest of the eye, I'm just going to use a burgundy colour. So we're going to try gently go around. If you want to let the black dry before adding this bit on, that's fine. I've gone quite dark with it. Obviously the more watered down it is, the paler your colour is going to be. So I'm going to take a really small amount of white again, and I'm going to roll 2 balls, one smaller than the other, to put the highlights in the eye with. Now you can paint them in, but because the black's still wet, it's easier to add them in. So we're going to have one that's a little oval shape, and the other one a little circle. So let's see if we can get these in the right place. So I'm going to put this one in there like so. And now the other one might be just a tiny bit big, so I'll see if I can take that down in size. I'll try pick it up with my paintbrush because I'll end up sticking my finger in it. And we're going to put that just below the other one. So you just need to do exactly the same on the other side. And then once you've done the other side, we'll stick on some ears. So we're going to have a go at making the ears now. So just take a small piece that we're going to push into a little bit of a triangle shape. It can be quite a rounded triangle shape, that's fine. I'm just thinning it at the bottom. And then I'm just going to use the back of the knife to put a little line down one side. Excuse, I've still got the black paint on my fingers. A little bit of water on the bottom, and we're going to stick that to the back of the head. And again, just the same for the other one. You'll probably find that we can't really see the other one when we put the hair on. So once you're happy with that, we can stick it onto the body. Now, we should have a bit of a hole underneath where you pushed it on the body earlier. If you are struggling to get it to stick on, you can push a cocktail stick through, but I would advise doing that before the body has actually set. Again, you can use edible glue. I'm just using water, and I'm just going to push that onto my body. Position it at the angle you want it to go. So we're going to let his head set. If you need to prop it up against something to stop it dropping off, that's fine. Lean something against it. Hopefully it will stay, we'll see. And then we'll work on the little prints for his bum and then the wings. We'll do the prints first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it all on some white to start with. And then we're going to stick it on his bum. Now if you want, you can paint it straight onto his bum if you prefer, whichever way you find easier. Then what I'm going to do is take in a flower shaped cutter. I'm just going to cut that out, and then what I'm going to do is roll the flower shape out slightly so it looks a little bit more like a cloud. So we'll just do exactly the same for the other side. So I'm taking the colours now for the little lightning strikes. We've got blue, yellow and red, and I'm going to roll this out really nice and thin. And we're going to try and push these three together. Okay. And then we're going to try create a bit of a zigzag, so I might have done that a little bit too high up. We'll go a little bit further down from my little lightning bolt. I think that's about alright size-wise. Just neaten it off by pressing the edges against the knife. And what I'm going to do is stick this on his bum, one at either side, and I'll just stick the cloud on the top of it. So you might not be able to see it very well when I do attach it. And I should probably go change my water as well because I've got all the food colouring in it. So using a bit of water, we're going to stick that lightning bolt on. Now, at the moment I can't turn it up at an angle very well for you to see, because his head will fall off because it hasn't set yet. But we're just literally sticking them on to the side of the bum. So what I'm going to do now is give him his wings. Now I don't want them to be too big because I'm worried the weight of them won't hold up. So we're going to start with a circle that we flattened down, and I'm just going to trim a straight edge of one side, and then we're going to cut in, or cut out even, some triangles. So what I'm after is sort of 3 points and then a smaller little one at the bottom. And what we're going to do is flatten these down a little bit and round them off at the end. Just check again size-wise against your pony. If it's a little bit big, just take a little bit off. And then we're going to do the same again with another 3 little bits. So I'm just taking a much smaller piece this time that will fit into this corner. I'm going to remove our triangles again, rounding off the ends, and you're going to repeat the same for the other wing as well, and this will stick into the corner. So you might need a bit of water or glue to hold it, edible glue to hold it in place. So that's one of our wings. So I'm just going to use a little bit of water behind it to attach it. Again, the same with the tail. If it doesn't just push on and hold in place, you can use a bit of a cocktail stick or a wire to hold it in, as long as it's not going to be eaten. Okay, and just do exactly the same for the other side. So if you want, you can let your pony set fully before adding the hair. I'm being a little bit impatient and adding my hair pretty much straight away. It does mean I'm not going to be able to turn it on its side for you to see, because its head's likely to drop off. So it's a bit of a funny angle for you to see what I'm doing. Hopefully you'll be able to tell still what I'm going to do. But we're taking all the different colour rainbow bits the same way as what we did before. So I'm starting with the purple at the bottom, and I'm just rolling it. So there's a nice fat bit in the middle and a nice thin bit at either side. And I'm going to put the water on the hair, and I'm going to slot it into the body at the bottom of where the head is. See if I can lift it a little bit for you to see. So we've just put it just in that gap, just down there. And we're going to put the next one, is going to be the blue one, and it's just going to go over the top of the purple one, and ever so slightly above it as well, or upwards on the body kind of thing. I'll stick it on and then I'll show you. So you'll see, starting over the top of the purple one, and then it's moved over slightly. So we're going to do the same again now with the green. Just make sure the piece is thin enough that you can slot it in between the head and the wings. So I'm going to just nip it off there, and bringing this one around the back of the head a little bit as well. And now we're going to have a nice yellow bit now. Again, we don't need too much. And we'll just check size wise, so that's a bit big, we'll take some off. Now a bit of orange. I'm going to do this piece a little bit bigger than the yellow piece. Again, just trial it for size. I think I'm about happy with that size. Stick it so it's part overlapping with the other one. And then we just want a last little bit of red. So we're just going to thin that a little bit more at that end. And I'm just going to curl up the ends a little bit. If you want to add a couple of smaller pieces in these top colours, you can do. Just keeping them small. Just moving them around until you're happy with how they are. So I've just got mine like that. So I think I'm quite happy with that now. So I'm just going to let it dry fully, and I'll put a picture of it up for you so you can see it better. And then you can do that with any of the other ponies. Again, you just change the colours of them. Some have got wings, some haven't, but you'll be able to use the same video for the same basic process for them all. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.
If you liked this video and would like to see more, please click on the images of the other videos suggested. Also, please do subscribe to my channel using the button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can also visit my cake website and my Facebook page to see more cakes and ideas.